Just a very few brief announcements. This Wednesday, of course, is Ash Wednesday, and that means on Friday we start our fish fry. So, the ones that have worked, or if you want to work, please do so. We could really use your help with that. But if you're signed up, please come. That starts on Friday. Also, the egg production has been in production for several weeks. Many of you are involved with that, and thank you again. And finally, there's a letter in the bulletin from the bishop. And people have been asking me, Father, how does that affect our parish? And I don't know the answer to that yet. I honestly do not know. So I'll find out more in the weeks to come with that. But I'll keep you posted with that, okay? Thank you. In today's gospel, Jesus says, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. That word enemy there, my friends, we think to ourselves, we don't really have any enemies. It's someone who's hurt us, and that could be anyone. It could be a spouse, it could be children, relatives, friends, it could be anybody. And we all fit in that category, We all hurt each other, and we all get hurt. Mark Twain once said, the rain is famous for falling on the just and unjust. But if I had management of such affairs, I would rain softly and sweetly on the just. But the unjust, I would drown him. And we feel that way, all of us. Attached with that article was that movie, Witness, and it was in 1985. It's hard to imagine that movie was that long ago. And I love that movie because it was filmed in Lancaster, where I'm from. So it was neat seeing a major movie with all the familiar land sites of which we grew up in, But for those who haven't seen it, or it's been so many years, Harrison Ford is a Philadelphia detective. And then a little Amish boy witnesses a murder. So he's trying to protect this boy. And so he lived amongst them for several weeks or months or whatever, how long, in the movie. But anyway, he was out with these little Amish boys and his family, and they were making fun of him, of one of the little boys. And they did something with one of the ice cream cones and kind of pushed it at him. And Harrison Ford was going to react and go after the person. And the elderly Amish man that was with them took his arm and kind of held him back. And he said, no. He said, that's not our way. And Harrison Ford responds, but it's my way. And that's true. For all of us struggle with that, isn't it? We all react. We all want to get even. We all do it. And every one of us, my friends, and then we get to a gospel like this, and Jesus is saying, look, we got to rethink this. Hall of Famer Wade Boggs played for the Boston Red Sox, and of course, he despised going into Yankee Stadium. And not for the reason you think. Those two were incredibly competitive, the Yankees and the Red Sox. But there would be a fan that was right there several feet away. The closest seat you can get to this fans was this Yankee fan. And all he'd do the whole game is yell obscenities and things at Wade Boggs. Every game. For years this went on. And Wade Boggs just regretted going into the stadium. Then one day he was warming up, and this guy was there yelling away at Wade Boggs, and Wade Boggs walked over to him and said, are you the fellow that's yelling during the games? And he said, yeah, what are you going to do about it, Boggs? Wade Boggs took out a Red Sox hat, signed it, and gave it to the man. He never yelled again. I don't think he became a Red Sox fan. But my friends, if we could only do that, right? We may not change them, but it does change us, doesn't it? It does change us. There were two brothers that were living, that had two farms, and side by side, and they lived and worked together for years and years and years. Then a little conflict came, and then it grew and grew, and then they ended up not speaking. And one day there was like a pond that was fed with water, and the one brother took a backhoe and cleared it out. So now there was a little tiny stream that separated the two properties. And when he took that backhoe, that little stream became a creek. So you could no longer walk across it. So it separated the two properties. And one day the other brother was in town at like a Home Depot type store, and he ran into a carpenter who was looking for work. And he said, I could use a job, he said, He said, I want you to build me a fence. So they bought all this lumber, came back, and he said, he said to the carpenter, he said, build me a fence, an 8-foot high fence, so I don't have to look at that creek. So 2 days passed, and the carpenter went up to the farmer, and he said, I'm pretty much done. He said, I'll be back first thing tomorrow morning just to wrap things up for a few minutes, but then I'll be on my way. And the carpenter left. And the farmer went down to look at the creek, or the fence. And he didn't build a fence. He built a bridge. He built a bridge. And the farmer was so upset. He went back to his house, and he said he could barely think. He said he couldn't react with anyone. Then he was getting ready for bed. And he said he was just steaming for hours, and there was a knock on the door. And you know who it was? It was his brother. His brother saw the bridge and walked across it. And I thought, my friends, all of us, we build walls, don't we? But, we're really called to build bridges, every one of us. And sometimes it's more challenging than others, but we really are called to do that. And so this week, my friends, as Lent begins, it's good for us to reflect on that, the walls that we have in our lives. May we turn those into bridges. God bless you.